Hi everyone, and welcome to a very special episode of A-Star Attendance Solutions' new podcast, School Attendance Beyond the Percentage. I'm Melissa Warwick from A-Star Attendance Solutions, and today I'm joined by someone right at the heart of safeguarding systems in schools, Sam Eustace from CPOMS. CPOMS is one of the UK's leading platforms for managing child protection, wellbeing and pastoral concerns. Now, this episode isn't just a conversation, it's a bit of an announcement. A-Star Attendance and CPOMS are officially joining forces in a brand new partnership, and here we are to tell you exactly what it means for schools, staff, and most importantly, students. Sam, welcome and thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
Let's start right at the heart of this, Sam. When we began talking about this integration, the one thing that stood out to me immediately was how aligned our company values are. We're both trying to get schools to look beyond the obvious. It's the same with CPOMS, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think as we've grown as a company, what we've come to realise is that we're, heavily respected in the space of safeguarding, particularly within the software, obviously, but beyond that, our value system means that we're really focused on how we can support schools beyond the software, how we can support them to understand and approach safeguarding in a different way. Certainly, I think it's when you become a large organisation and you're embedded in a lot of schools and they come to rely on your software, I think it's kind of a moral duty of the organisation then to look at supporting those schools beyond the software that they've created, because you're starting to create a real ecosystem around safeguarding and the software that we've created. So, I think when we were speaking, we got the similar sort of vibe from yourselves that, it's not just about the software that you're creating, but it's about the environment and the kind of the group that you create and the family that you create around those users that are using A-Star.
Absolutely. And then obviously echo down into students as well. And this partnership, this integration between A-Star Attendance and CPOMS is more than just shared values. It's about our shared systems. And I wondered, Sam, if you could walk us through what that will then look like for schools.
The whole focus of this integration is to keep and maintain those accurate records for attendance and safeguarding purposes, but reduce the workload that's involved in what could potentially be duplication of information across the system. So there's key parts of the A-Star solution system that people then will be taking and copying and pasting over into CPOMS to maintain part of that safeguarding record and chronology of the student. And, we've spoke a lot, and hopefully some of the viewers will have seen some of our webinars where we spoke about our universal approach to safeguarding, wanting to integrate with key partners to bring in information, reduce demand on workload, but also keep kind of a really accurate set of data around those young people in the safeguarding records. And that's what this is about, taking key pieces of information from A-Star that make absolute sense to be in the safeguarding record, stopping people from having to duplicate an entire record over and only take those key bits, and keeping that fluidity and movement in the work that they're doing with pupils who are managed through the A-Star system. And
it'll just mean that there's no missed logs, there's no missed communication, because what is logged on A-Star then can be transferred directly through to CPOMS. And most importantly, I guess that means no child then slips through the net.
Absolutely. And that's, as you add more systems into a school or an organisation, and you find it in business as well as in school, and the more systems you have, the more chances there are for information to be missed or to be slipped or to not be considered when decisions are being made. And when there's value in two systems, then there's like a synergy there in that value when they come together and they start integrating. We get a world now where a DSL or a safeguarding team can have even more of an understanding about the safeguarding issues that are arising through the attendance pathway than they ever had before. And even if it means reducing the amount of wait for an email or relying too heavily on people to duplicate information over and it then gets missed because something comes up, there's naturally going to be something along the way that this integration will solve for everyone,
100%.
And maintain those high high standards.
Yeah, 100%. And I think we've touched on that, the biggest pain point I hear from schools really is having to input data into multiple systems, one for attendance, one for safeguarding. And this integration means that kind of key attendance concerns can also be flagged within CPOMS, ready for the DSL, and any relevant staff members to see that and to be brought to their attention. And I think the goal really here is to bring together all the pieces of the jigsaw so that the whole child is visible. We've got to do that without overwhelming staff with more admin as well, because time is precious, and we know the school day just flies by, and there's not time to duplicate work. And one of the phrases that we keep coming back to really is seeing the whole child. Yeah. And in a busy school day, it's easier said than done. So how do you think this integration will help schools to do just that?
I think from my perspective, something like this is exciting because we're in a world now where we're rubbing out that line that can sometimes be drawn between attendance and safeguarding. Attendance is always a safeguarding concern and should be considered that. And it's difficult when systems are siloed to not, for all the best reasons in the world, maybe it's reduction of workload, maybe it's managing people's time, to not mess with the permissions and access to different systems so that some people aren't involved and some people are, and starting siloing that information. And that can naturally happen if we're unaware of it. So an integration starts breaking those silos down more. Yeah. It starts bringing relevant information to the forefront. We stop having problems with too much information, which can happen. You know, if we're relying on people to duplicate across systems, we can find that erring on the side of caution means they put everything in. Yeah. So then it's still up to the DSL and safeguarding team or senior leaders in the school to kind of scour that record and find the relevant info. Yeah. So we're hoping that through this integration we can start sending more and more relevant and pertinent information and points from the system without tipping into overwhelm. Yeah. It's not a replacement for going back to the A-Star Solutions system and going in there and digging into it, but it's kind of flying a flag for the important safeguarding info in there to maybe reduce the amount of time it takes for a DSL who's maybe dipping into an unfamiliar system if they don't manage attendance themselves. Stopping them having to fight through that, what can sometimes be a bit of a muddy puddle, trying to get through, figuring out how to use a system. It's just hopefully giving them the things that they need when they need it. Yeah, I think historically attendance and safeguarding areas were managed by different teams. In reality, when we reflect on it, really the two are inseparable, aren't they? And poor attendance is often the first and loudest sign that something isn't right. And we're now seeing a culture shift where DSLs are starting to look at attendance data as part of their safeguarding toolkit. So kind of as we look ahead, what do you think and what would you say is the biggest opportunity that this partnership creates for schools? I would hope that we're moving forward in a world where integrations like this are catering for some of the expanding job roles of DSLs. So thinking over the last few years of keeping children safe in education, for example, which I used to joke was, as a DSL, was like, if you want to see my job description, read that. It's got bigger and bigger. And, yes, some stuff gets removed, but it tends to get replaced by 10 other pages. Yeah. And the expanse of role for the DSL has changed massively over just the kind of 15 years or so I've been in education. From it being truly defined to it being added to having things like cyber essentials come in and making you think of a different paradigm, thinking about the online world and offline world, and then attendance now in the DFE work being drawn to the forefront of a safeguarding team's purview. And now, as we add to that, what has been neglected is solutions talking and filling that void of the work that's created by adding that. So hopefully the lift for DSLs, if you're part of these two systems, is minimal. The safeguarding job gets done, but it gets done efficiently, it gets done effectively, and you don't lose any data, you don't lose any kind of quality of the approach that you take in, but it just helps speed things up and it allows you to make more informed decisions quicker. I mean, if you think about how many different people are involved at different stages of absenteeism, particularly in larger organisations, when you look at multi-academy trusts where there's different layers of people in the organisational structure that need to take a dip into and look at this type of information. if we can start presenting that in a different way, and we can start surfacing that up in a more efficient way, it makes it better. I mean, this A-Star Solutions integration is going to be something that I guess even from a multi-academy trust level will be exciting, because our new Power BI visualization tool, Insight, is our kind of multi-academy trust, multi-setting dashboard to visualize information across all of your settings. A-Star attendance coming into CPOMS as a category for integration allows that A-Star attendance solutions category to surface at a MAT level on the dashboard. So you can start seeing how many A-Star attendance solutions issues are coming through on the dashboard as well. So that's now bringing MAT leadership and other people who are kind of accountable for information and for safeguarding. It's bringing it to the forefront of them as well, not just from a kind of an operational perspective in the school.
It's really exciting, and I think kind of having all of that information available to you as well can only add power to the work that we're doing in schools and the work that staff are doing. Thank you so much for joining me today, Sam, and for your trust, your collaboration, and shared vision that we've certainly got. This partnership's just the beginning, and I know that we're going to make a real difference to workload, to schools, and also, most importantly, to students.
Absolutely.
If you're a school leader, a DSL or an attendance officer and you're ready to start seeing the whole picture, then please get in touch. Together, A-Star Attendance and CPOMS are building the bridge between attendance and safeguarding, because when we connect the dots, we protect the child. Don't forget to share this episode with a colleague, subscribe for future episodes, and contact us for more information about this partnership rollout. Until next time, I'm Melissa Warwick, and remember, every absence has a story, and let's make sure it's one we don't miss.